I was talking to someone right now before I got on. I was like, man, I'm trying to do some content that's going to get a lot of views, but at the same time have a positive message or bring some informative facts to reality. He says, man, why don't you do the one when you were set up by CDC? So that's what I'm going to do. This is called the setup. And it all starts back to Solano. Okay, in Solano, I was deeply in the mix. I was politicking, working hand in hand with the household. Rascal was there, the homie hangout. DK from San Rafael, Chops from Broderick, Scooter from Yuba City, Tito from Stockton, who ended up becoming a degenerate. So, anyways, my story starts here where CDC decided to set me up, man. I was a young kid, skinny as hell, man. You know what I'm saying? But pushing the hard line out there, man. And I'd already been involved in some hits in other institutions, the county jail. Been involved in some stuff that occurred at Solano. So I was making my waves. I've been putting in work. And so it all starts with me and Rascal. Okay, it all starts back to an issue that stirred up with the white boys. Okay, the white boys were drunk, kicking it on our side of the yard. Building 4, 5, and 6. They were in between building 5 and 6. And we were always instructed, right? Whoever had the yard at the time, because there would be different people that had different positions. And so if one of them wasn't there, someone would fulfill that position. Rascal was in charge of basically that yard that night. And anytime any particular group that we considered in opposition, the foe, white boys, Surenos, and so forth, came on our side of the yard, they weren't supposed to be allowed to post up. That we considered a threat, and that was the agreement. That's what we had established. So you had a couple white dudes over there. Spider, he was some NLR cat, Tommy Guns, and some other cats that were posted up right there. So me and Rascal go over there. Rascal proceeds to get at these individuals. Hey, you guys kept me on this side of the yard posted up like this. We have an agreement. It's for our security, man. We don't go posting up on your side, this and so forth. Well, one of the dudes started getting a little attitude and goes, well, what about the blacks? Rascal tells him, man, we can't speak for the blacks. Well, these guys were pretty much trying to tell us that they weren't going to move. So in the process of this happening, while we're talking to him, the homeboy Chop, another Nuestra Raza member, grabbed about 7 homeboys, and they just came around and they started posting up, bam, 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 like in sequence. These dudes seen the threat. Okay, so from there, these white boys left, and next thing you know, the whole wood car started coming over to our side of the yard, and in the process, the Kumi cats immediately hit the forefront to the front, like, what are you guys doing? By then, administration had seen what was going on. They had the yard slammed down. The yard slammed down. In the process of this occurring, one of the dudes said Buster, right? And so that became an issue. So the next day on the yard, it was, our counts were up, man. There were so many more white boys out there. All the homeboys were instructed not to go to vocational trade. There was tension on the yard, and this is where the politics were coming into play. Now, lo and behold, the dude that had our yard was a dope fiend degenerate, Tito from Stockton. He had already been deemed no good in Tracy back in '96. So as we're talking, they're supposed to give up the dude that said Buster and let us deal with it. And I remember I was instructed and requested, I think it was through DK or someone, that if I would do the hit. And I remember we were sitting on the side of building 4, and we were looking at the particular dude that was going to get hit. And so I obligated myself, yeah, I'll stab this dude. You know what I mean? 100% accurate. This is exactly how it happened. They were supposed to give him up. Lo and behold, we get slammed down for some reason. I think it was a bullet was missing or something, man, but it was kind of a convenient situation. So lo and behold, what happened from there is when you go the hole and everything gets slammed down, people get moved around and so forth. It became a forgotten issue, right? Allegedly, the dude was gone, so forth, man. So I don't know why we let it go. We should have fucking rode on these motherfuckers from the gate. And so at that time, we had to get DTRs every unlock. And so me and Rascal were doing the same routine. I mean, Rascal, me and him used to kick it tight on the yard. He'd be, hey, Flax, I need a patrol. Okay, I got you. Or, hey, come with me. I need you to post up with me. Let's go. And we were doing the same routine every night. We were going to building 2, which was a hot mid building, which we still had a channel in there. So we were getting the DTRs, any new arrivals, what's the head count. And we were going to the door every night. These white boys were observing that. They were seeing what we were doing. And so they kind of made a plan. They brought in tobacco and everything. They had this all set up because they felt disrespected by us. So when we're walking the yard, now bear in mind, this is where all the Surenos are at, right here. You know what I'm saying? There's at any given night yard, there's about 20 to 40 of them. The white boys are over here. Even though there was tension with the white boys before, we weren't really feeling any tension currently. So as we're walking, there's fucking enemies everywhere. We're like, just me and him, there's probably 70, 80 different enemies in that area. So you're observing everything like this from a get-go, like this, right? On instinct, bro, they just came, bam, took off on us. This dude Tommy Gun takes off on me, and some other cat, I don't know, takes off on Rascal. I get hit so damn hard. This dude's a man. He's fucking a big beast, bro. I fucking drop. I tried to get up 2-3 times, and I get dropped both times. So finally, I did a somersault backwards. You know what I'm saying? Got up, and then I seen that they were on top of Rascal, so I started fighting with the dudes that were jumping on Rascal. Yard gets slammed down. I'm all busted. You know what I'm saying? Rascal didn't know if I was fucking stabbed. I see him in the fucking holy tank. He's all, you all right? I love you, brother. Woo, woo, woo. And we ended up becoming cellies. Anyways, that's where it all started, man. Administration had a lot of issues because it kicked off tension. After that, their key informant we had removed. Rascal tried to go in the cell and tried to whack him. And so from there was a lot of hate that was caused by our actions. We were considered active. So what CDC decided to do, I'm a fully functioning dude. I've been to the whole San Quentin 6 yard. I've been putting in work. They observed everything. They knew exactly who we were and what we were about. They elected to endorse me to San Luis Obispo, CMC East. Okay. Now, CMC was what you would consider a setup. They used to send either naive individuals that were young, first-termers, never been anywhere, to that facility, Southsiders, Northerners, because you had a lot of individuals that were older that had been hiding out on those yards for years. That were either playing the Christian role or playing that they were from this and that. It was a different atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? The politics were different. You know, there was less politics within the Sureno movement at that time. Even within our movement, there was a little bit less politics. So this prison facility, they would send active dudes there, but usually you would be young. So I get sent down to San Luis Obispo. And this is where everything's a setup complete, man. They know damn well I'm an active homeboy. I got a fucking Mongolian. I just shaved my fucking head. They special transfer me out. I've never ever heard of this. And they took me in a car, just me and 2 COs. When I had to take a piss, they pulled over somewhere in Morgan Hill. I pissed. They brought the gun out, and I had to walk to the fucking bathroom, fucking all shackled, man. Straight embarrassing, man. So I've told this story before, but I'm trying to tell you guys that CDC administration used to play games. They used to set us up. If you were anywhere active as a homeboy, they would send you down to Calipatria. You know what I'm saying? Centinela. Places where they knew you were going to get fucking moved on. You know, I know of 2 homeboys that got sent to Calipatria. Smiley from North Highlands, and Goneo from Bryan Street Locals. Both of them have fucking wounds that were put in their body by the Southsiders. So, I've told this story before, but I'm going to reiterate it, man, so you guys can get the gist of it, man, anybody that's new. So I get to the yard, and I apply my training in R&R. I ask an Africano, is there any Northerners here? He says, I think. I'm like, fuck, man. So I'm in jack flaps. I haven't got my rope. I haven't got my clothes. Regular jeans and a fucking white shirt. And it's cold as fuck. So I start going to my building. Everything's kind of on unlock. They let me out. And immediately I start trying to find out where some homeboys are at. And some Africano gave me a frajo, and I was chopping up with him. He was an OG. So he introduced me to these 2 dudes, Pancho and someone else. And one of them ended up being an NF dropout named Pancho from Sao. And these dudes acted like squares. And they're like, hey, you know, there's no politics here. There's no Norteños here. You know, we're Christians and so forth. They're going to ask you to shave your head and all this shit. I'm like, I ain't doing shit. I told them to kick rocks. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't know who they were, what they were about. They were just some viejos that acted fucking normal. But it was all a fucking ploy on their part. They actually ended up being high-power NF dropouts that were hiding out there. So I'm kicking it, posted up, and I have to go into into myself or something. We come out, and some dude comes at me, and you could recognize people where they're from or what area. And he goes, and he's smiling. He goes, hey, bro, we don't play that here. And he walked away. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, okay. He looks like he has a certain stilo and look as someone who may be from out there in Vice area, Tulare County area. All right, I mean, we're in a different location. I've heard that sometimes there's been homeboys down here. They've said functioning. So let me go see what's up. So I go up to these dudes and I'm posted. And I get a light because that flower I only smoked half of it. And the dude gives me a light. So I'm sitting there like this, post up. There's about 7 of them. And I tell the dude to my left, I go, hey, so where you from? He goes, I'm from Fresno. I'm a Bulldog. Oh, fuck. I immediately walk away and shit. I'm like, damn, what the hell's going on around here? So I'm posted, and out of nowhere, some dudes looking at me. And I've already had, this is just all within an hour. This nerd dude looking at me, he goes, hey, he tells me to come here. I'm like, nah, you come here. And he comes up to me, he goes, hey, my name's Milo. I'm from Oakland. I never gangbanged, but my families are homeboys. I was in Susanville. The homeboys treated me right. He goes, I'm going to let you know right now, there's no Norteños on this yard. There's a lot of Surenos. They're already tripping off you. Do you believe in the Bible? I said, you know what? I appreciate that. I believe in God, but I'm not going to go that route. But I appreciate it. So I go. We get locked down again. And next thing you know, we come out for chow. And I'm before that, I went into the TV room. I'm trying to check everything out, man, because I don't know what to do. They had an open door policy to the building where you go in and out. And I met some bloods from San Diego. And I'm trying to meet anybody. They were youngsters. I'm like, hey, man, I'm a Norteño. Oh, we heard about you, man. Well, I never met a Norteño. And they weren't trying to rock with me, though. They were just being cool, but they didn't know about the, the support sometimes when you get down south or anything, man. So I'm like, fuck, I'm on my own. So I'm in an observation cell. I'm on A-Quad. So when we go to dinner, I'm nervous. I'm not going to lie, man. I'm like I looked at the fucking chalkboard, and I was the only red fucking thing that was on the board. It was all fucking blue. And you see nothing but young Surenos there. A whole bunch of them everywhere. And a few older dudes that probably were dropouts, but they were kind of in the cuts. So I'm going. I remember these two youngster Surenos came by me. I almost fucking jumped. I jumped up like this, ready to take off, man. I go to eat my food, man. I can't even eat. I'm nervous, because I know I'm on enemy lines. I'm a target. I got a Mongolian on the back of my. I got a Mongolian, so anybody that doesn't want to be at this facility, Southsiders, I'm going to be their first target. So when I'm coming back, there's dudes in front of A-Quad. A couple Surenos and white dudes. There's dudes all with fucking this. And one of them called me a buster. I'm thinking in my head, all right, I'm going to get this dude. You know what I'm saying? But I kind of played it off like, okay. Kept on walking, whatever. There's about a group of like 12, 15 dudes right there. A couple skinhead looking dudes and stuff, right? So I go in the building, I go check out the spot. I asked the CO what the program was for the rest of the day here and everything. And then I go this way. And as I turn, I see these dudes walking in, that same group, because they're calling in recall. And I'm like, okay, here's my chance. I figure instead of me just fucking going heads up and get jumped, I go, I'm gonna get the motherfucker that was talking shit, but I'm gonna come out from behind. And then hopefully they're gonna jump me. You know what I mean? I'm expecting the worst. So as they're going up, this place has floors and levels. So I go rush the dude, man, and take off on him. You know what I'm saying? And you got to remember, in Solano, when that shit happened, those motherfuckers got the best of us. We were caught slipping. These were grown men. They were fucking big dudes. They got the best of us. Even if we would have seen it head up, we would have had our hands full. I will be the first to admit we were fucking skinny kids. This time, though, I'm like, I'm going to get one of these motherfuckers. I'm going to snake him. So as he starts to go up the fucking stairs, I rush him. I just fucking start banking this dude. Bink, bink, bink. I drop him. His people he was with scatter because they don't know what's going on. I back up because I'm expected to get jumped. He runs up the stairs, and this is when they came in with pepper spray. He runs up the stairs and gets down. I get fucking handcuffed up. I'm like this. I'm on the floor and everything. And I'm like, fuck, dude, how the fuck did this just happen? I'm on a yard with about 200, 300 Surenos, right? And a lot of them were active. And I just caught a battery on the fucking yard. When I went to the 114D hearing, he goes, I don't know why the fuck they sent you here. Because I have a big weather bird right here. I have Mongolian. I didn't say nothing. Dude's last name was Cifuentes. He had an H number. And so from there, it was basically a setup. You know what I'm saying? They sent me there to this facility because they knew I was an active Northerner and they were trying to get me caught up on a validation process, I believe. There's no other reason why, looking at my C-file, they would even send me here. It was punishment because of the fucking riot or the melee that happened with the white boys. It was punishment for what we stirred up on that yard, they felt. It was punishment because we tried to move on Tito, who was their informant. All this was done deliberately to try to put me in a bad position. I get to the hole. Stuart Hansen's there. Belong from EPA. Funnel's there for a minute. And then a little Big Pun from Solano. And Funnel ends up leaving. But Funnel was trying to say, oh, we can't do politics here and this and that, man. Because I wanted to enforce education. I wanted to enforce HHPs. I wanted to have some type of establishment in the hole. And I started communicating with Stuart Hansen. So now we only have 3 of us there. A new dude drives up. Now, this individual's name was Jesse Morales, a little local from Stockton. He was our next door neighbor. He moved in with some dude that was no good. He came off the 4-yard, which was a level 2 yard. When his celly went to ICC, we instructed him through the vent, take off on your celly, you have get backs. He said, okay, I'll do it. The dude failed to do it. So he was basically all bad. He ends up coming to the hole. I run everything down to fucking Jay. He was on this yard. This is what he did. Woo, woo, woo. And I'm saying this in front of him while he's talking to him. I'm like, ask him what yard he's on. I put up a 4. He goes, hey, what yard you come off over there? He goes, oh, the 4-yard. So Jay gets at me. It's hella funny. He goes, man, my gut tells me that you're telling me the right thing, but I have to think awareness and this stuff. And I'm like, bro, I go, check it out, homie. I go, I'll deal with this shit, bro. This is how it's going to go down. I go, I'm not going to tell you something that I wouldn't do. I was telling you what was going on, that this dude was all bad, that he did a cowardice act. I said, look, I'm going to fuck him up if he comes to your yard. I'm going to deal with him. You know what I mean? Do you have a piece? Now, we didn't have no weaponry, and I didn't have nothing metal to make a piece. So I said, all right, well, I'll just beat the shit out of him. So what ended up happening is they run, in the hole there, they ran group showers. It was on B quad. There was 3 floors, okay? On this side, just the 3rd floor was the hole. On this side, just the 2nd and 3rd. And the 3rd was more IEP, EOP, all the JCATs. So he ends up going out there to the shower, and they put us in the day room, which was our actually yard. And so while I'm out there, dude comes out and he acknowledges us, man. I'm like, all right, what's your name? Oh, little local. Oh, what's up, bro? And so I made sure I was the last one to go in because I'd be the first one to get my cuffs off. So he goes in first. We make sure he goes in first. Belon second, and then Jay. I told Jay, hey, if anything goes wrong, you got to jump in. You got to have my back. You know what I mean? If this dude starts getting him up on me, putting him on me, you have to jump in. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to handle this, so trust me, I got this. So I'm standing right here. He's right there, and he's getting his cuffs off and stuff. As soon as the last cuff's off, while he's right there, bah! And he just dropped. It was over. I just had him fucking every way that I wanted. And there's no gunner that can shoot in there. They can't do the pepper spray because it's going to fuck the whole building up right there. So they're right there. There's guards that are looking at me face to face while I have them down like this, and I'm just stomping them out. I'm fucking kneeing them. I'm fucking socking them. They're trying to stop me. They're trying to hit me with the batons. They can't do nothing. And I proceeded to beat this dude for about 45 seconds, maybe a minute. And I'm like, man, I'm going to kill this dude because I'm fucking grabbing him. I'm fucking hitting his head on the floor, all kinds of shit. His incident report had fucking marks everywhere, blood everywhere. So I backed on up. They opened the fucking thing, and they literally dragged him out real quick because we backed up because they told us to back up. So we did. From there, this is where the retaliation continued. They put me in my cell. I'm like, all right. Homeboy's looking at me like, fuck, hey, that was off the hook. I'm like, I told you, bro. You know what I mean? So from there, they come to get me and they cuff me up. And this is where they put me on the 2nd floor. I've discussed this before. There was 44 Surenos. There was fucking 2 validated NLRs that were going through the validation process. Every day for about 6 months, I was being verbally attacked. They tried to throw piss through the crack at me. They tried to spit. They called me Buster, all kinds of shit. And there was no homeboys there. And this was another form of setup. They endorsed me to High Desert in the process while I was there after the 115. But then they elected to do an IGI review. And I'm going to be going into that. When I do a second video, I'm going to tell you how this setup ended up getting me validated and as a validation process. So, continue to be set up. Finally, some homeboys got there. And I've discussed this situation as well from the past, man. They were doing certain attacks. They were searching my cell. They were depriving me of my mail. They were doing everything they could. You know what I'm saying? They were coming by and making comments, the correctional staff, everything. It was that bad, man. And it was all just a ploy, I believe, because of whatever I did over there was a disliking by IGI on me. So as the process happened, more homeboys came, started to establish things again. But now we have 6, 7 homeboys down there. I go to ICC, I tell them I want to go to yard because they refused to put me on yard at that time with anybody. I said, I don't care if you put me with whites. I don't care if you put me with Surenos. I don't care who you put me out there. I want to go to the yard. Because back in the days, they used to give you CTQ for 10 days after you got into an incident. This is when CDC started to change things. And then my record at that time, I'd already had about 4 or 5 incidents within the state. So I go through the process of getting upset. I try to jump. I kick over the table, and I start rushing towards the fucking associate warden, McAllister. They snatch me up, put me in my cell. CO Pryor comes up to me. Not Pryor. Was it Pryor? Or Reynoso. CO Reynoso. He became a sergeant over there in Corcoran. He ends up coming to my cell. He goes, hey, you know, I got to take you out of here. I'll make sure you come back. This is when they put me in that management cell. A cell within a cell. I've never seen nothing like this, man. No mattress, no blankets, no sheets, no pillow. Butt naked, no running water. No reading material, no nothing. Didn't even brush my teeth for a week or shower. For 7 days. They had the psych come see me. After the captain had already told me that you're going to be here for a week. By law, they only could have kept me in there for a 72-hour evaluation because they were trying to consider me being suicidal by my actions, but I wasn't even suicidal. So this was punishment. So from there, it continued to be a thing, man. They made sure that they validated me. I'm going to go into that more in the next episode, but the torments and attacks towards me, man, would continue to happen. You know what I'm saying? They would hit my cell. They would deprive me of certain things. They would skip me from shower. They would skip me from yard. It was just a bad scenario. You know what I'm saying? All because I'm at that time, I think I'm 20 years old. I've been in prison for like 2 years. All because I stood up for what's right and was me. Just being a northerner. You know what I'm saying? And the things that they were trying to do at that time, man, was just such a I don't think anybody deserves that type of torment. You know what I'm saying? There was times where I didn't shower for 4 days. They would skip me. Use reasons not to give me a razor. They said I couldn't have visits certain times. They did every dirty tactic that they could towards me. And at that time, I was a little bit more revolutionary. I was filing paperwork. And, you know what I mean? I talked smack to the SEALs back then. Like, come up from this fucking cell. I had that type of mindset because I was tired of all the abuse and stuff, man. Their whole agenda in sending me there was to set me up. You know? So people think that CDC is solid, man. This is my story, man. That whole position, I should have never been put on that yard. They knew damn well what was going to happen. I was going to get off every time I was around anybody. And that's what occurred. You know, every case I caught in that prison were all assaults, batteries. They weren't mutual combats. I think I had, what was it, 3 DA referrals from actions that happened in there. Because I got into it with some other cats out there in the yard as well. You know what I'm saying? They tried to put me out there with some other individuals and shit kicked off. You know, and in retrospect of everything now, you know what I'm saying? CDC never has your intentions as far as to rehabilitate anybody, man. The actions that I experienced there, man, and I'm going to go into it. I'm going to do a part 2 to this video because everything that they did to get me there was to get me validated as a Northern Structure member. And I'm going to go into the details of how I got validated, what was the process, what the things IGI did. But this was a setup, you know what I'm saying? And for you youngsters out there, man, understand that when you go to prison, you no longer have control of your life. It's bad enough that you have to follow the rules and regulations of your own people. But within the administration, if you stand up for your rights and try to argue or contest anything that occurs, they're going to target you. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have some consequences. And that's what happened there, man. That whole experience made me mentally stronger because I never, ever felt so independently alone than at that time as a 20-year-old kid. I mean, for like 6 months, I was on I ended up being there for like 14 months, but for 6 months, I was on a tier with no fucking Norteños, no interactions with nothing. Being harassed, having shit talked to me, people yelling on the tier, I want to get that dude in cell 47 or 48, whatever I was in. This happened every fucking day. Even the SEALs would come by and talk shit to me, you know? And it was an ongoing thing. There was maybe 1 or 2 that fucking felt bad. And they told me that everything that was going on was deliberately done by administration for my actions there. And even when I go to ICC, well, why are you taking off on people? I go, why the fuck did you send me here? You know what I mean? It was as simple as that. I should have never been sent there. I should have been sent to a prison to where I could take advantage of any trades. be able to program, and not have any issues. If that's what rehabilitation is about. No, they sent me there as fucking punishment. Because why else would they take me in a fucking car on a special transfer? A special transfer from one person to another. That's going to cost the taxpayer a whole bunch of money just to take me by myself. You know? And I get it. People say, okay, San Luis Obispo isn't down south and so forth. I get that. But for us, it was considered a southern prison. Because the Southsiders, active Southsiders on that yard were deep on A-Quad. A-Quad was considered more of an active yard. And all the Northerners that were on that yard were basically considered trash. So I don't know what type of ideas that they had, but putting me where I was at in my career on that yard as a 20-year-old kid, it was all bad, man. You know, these things happen in prison, though. If you think everybody has righteous intentions as far as in the administration, nah, man. They play games at times, man. And I think things have changed and evolved a little bit now. But back then, man, if you pushed any hard line as a Norteño, there was a lot more consequences and repercussions. I've said this before and I stand behind it. I feel the Norteños were more oppressed by CDC administration than any other group. More than the Africanos, more than anybody else. And a lot of that I have to believe was because you had a lot more racial correctional officers in these rural areas and so forth. You know what I mean? Therefore, they were more supportive and more in tune with the whites. Who aligned with the whites? The Southsiders. Also, the Southsiders were a lot deeper than most of the groups. A lot of the staff did not like the Africanos because at the time, in the 80s and 90s and 70s, a lot of Africanos used to stand up for their rights about oppression and abuse. And based upon us having, I'm not going to say as allies, but working in an alliance with them at times, I think we were targeted. And I think we were targeted even more because our numbers were less and because everywhere we went, we set shit off. Those are facts. So I think that they were trying to sit there and say, okay, let's teach this youngster a lesson. Let's get his ass down south. You know what I'm saying? Or let's get him to a pinta that's ran by Southsiders, where all his people are all dropouts. Let's see what we can do to him. Let's see if we can cross him up. Because there's no reason why they should have even sent me to that prison. It's like sending the Norteño to Calipatria back in the days. There's 300, 400 Surenos on that yard. There's no Norteños. What the fuck you think's going to happen to him? He's going to get hit. You know? Anyways, man. I know I've told the story before, but I'm telling this story to build up because in my next part, I'm going to do a part 2 to this. I'm going to talk about my validation. And I can't talk about my validation unless you guys hear this story and I let it go in sequence. So the setup's there's going to be a part 2 to this. This one's going to be the setup. Then the next one's going to be the setup, the validation process. How I got validated as a gang member. You know, and at that time, man, young kid, you know what I'm saying? Striving, pushing that line. And these were the end results. And this is what happened back then, man. If you think that everything was all nice and beautiful and that every yard you went to, there was a homeboys had an establishment. Nah, it wasn't like that. We had to work hard. You know what I mean? Because I'm going to other places where I went in the shoe and I was the only homeboy in the pod as well. Shit was kicking off in there as well. Anyways, someone gave me this idea. I kind of told them I've already told this story, but I haven't really told it on this channel. And so this leads up to my validation process. The setup with me stems from the issues that started in Solano. They were pissed about that. From us getting off with these NLR cats to us trying to move on their informant, which was Tito from Stockton. They actually told us that one of the dudes that moved on Tito, say that he fell. We need our informant out there. So they were already exposing who he was. And this is going to get interesting because in my next segment, you're going to hear certain things that I haven't revealed in the past about my validation process. It gets hella messy and it gets hella crazy. Anyways, your boy Flacco, I'm out.